Hello everyone and thank you for tuning into this channel. In this session, we will be outlining the roles and functions of the International Committee of the Red Cross or the ICRC and argue how it is connected or not connected to the sub-theory of commercial liberalism. Stay tuned.
According to the ICRC 2019, the International Committee of the Red Cross or ICRC is an impartial, neutral and independent organization whose exclusive humanitarian mission is to protect the lives and dignity of victims of armed conflict and other situations of violence. As mentioned by Fossey, 1990, the ICRC arose out of the war between Italy and Austria in the mid-1960s. Henry Dunant, a Swiss national, was shocked by the way those states left their wounded soldiers to die on the battlefield. He then resolved to start a private humanitarian society to care for the sick and wounded combatants, having created what was to become the ICRC. He and his colleagues in Geneva sought to guarantee a role for these medical societies by having them acknowledged and endorsed in public international law. Thus arose the First Geneva Convention for War Victims in 1864. The ICRC endeavors to prevent suffering by promoting and strengthening humanitarian law and universal humanitarian principles. It directs and coordinates the international activities conducted by the movement in armed conflicts and other situations of violence. According to Parsons and Vecchio, 1963, to be able to carry out its mission effectively, the ICRC needs to have the trust of all states, parties, and people involved in a conflict or other situation of violence. This trust is based in particular on an awareness of the ICRC's policies and practices. The ICRC gains people's trust through continuity and predictability. Combining effectiveness and credibility, irrespective of time, place, or range of needs, is a permanent challenge for the organization, because it must be able to prove it can be both pragmatic and creative. Within the framework of the ICRC's clear strategy and priorities, its delegation in the field are thus given considerable autonomy to decide how best to help victims of conflict and other situations of violence. The ICRC's work is guided by 7 fundamental principles. They are humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. The main functions of the ICRC include providing access to education, addressing sexual violence or violence in general, restoring family links, protection of the dead through forensic action, helping migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers, providing clean water and habitat, help detainees. They enable people with disabilities and physical rehabilitation to access basic services and suitable living. They provide economic security and building respect for the law. Corresponding to the main obligation of the ICRC to promote peace is the theory of commercial liberalism. Commercial liberalism is a theory of international relations related to the political school of liberalism, the main thesis of which is that economic interdependence, the openness of border in trade and economy, inevitably contribute to peace and international cooperation due to the interdependence of the interests of participants. According to Kekea 2022, it is one of the foundations for the formation of foreign policy of the leading Western state. Commercial liberalism is based on one of the key assumptions of liberalism, and that is when social demands are expressed through the state. The state is the main actor of international relations. However, social groups take part in the formation of these social requirements, using the state as a platform to promote their interests. Respectively, they influence the behavior of political actors on the world stage. The central element of the theory is the idea of economic interdependence, according to which, in the case of a general division of labor, maintaining a unified system of political and economic institutions. Profits will be evenly distributed among all participants of free markets. Free trade is beneficial to all states if the global economic and political systems are united and strong actors assume the obligations of developing economies. According to theory, the natural impact of trade leads to peace. Two nations that trade with each other become interdependent when one is interested in buying and the other is in selling. Thus, all unions are based on mutual needs. It is important to note that the incentives for peaceful behavior are due to the international environment, which is characterized by regulated exchange patterns and certain rules of conduct. For rich countries, the dependence of the distribution of labor on the size of the market is expected to increase wealth and productivity, international division of labor, and open markets. Such factors as economic interdependence, the openness of borders in trade, and international cooperation are a major cause of peace and stability, bilaterally, regionally, and internationally. Since the end of World War II, states have sought mergers both regionally and internationally in search of lasting peace and stability in their countries through governmental contracts and established international organizations like the ICRC and other international organizations that aim to achieve world peace. The work of the ICRC is associated with the theory of commercial liberalism as it incorporates the participation of states, including other organizations. With the establishment of trade relations, states are now able to work together, thus decreasing the chances of war and achieving world peace and stability.
Thank you very much for viewing this video. We hope you learned as much as we did. And before we end this video, we would like to leave you with a quote by the ICRC, and I quote, "A world without neutral and impartial humanitarian action is a bleaker, more dangerous place for victims of conflict and for us all."